Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. So guys, as promised, today I'm going to be going over the Google Maps announcement. What's new with Google Maps? Let's find out. Alright guys, so first of all, let's go through a little background before we get into the two changes about Google Maps. One, Google has been doing these indoor maps for a little while now, and they're continuing to improve on them. The idea behind indoor maps is that you can have a place like a mall or an amusement park and you have a built-in directory. So say if you got to the mall and you wanted to go to a Macy's or a Target, you can actually just tap on it and then it'll give you a walking navigation to it. So it's pretty cool. They're developing it more this year, so hopefully it'll be in all major malls by the end of the year. So the first big change to Google Maps is that within the upcoming weeks we will have offline maps for Google. Now let me explain a bit about how this is going to work. You can actually choose a section of your map or of your area or of any city to make available offline. So say if I wanted to make a certain section of or Los Angeles offline, I can just tap it and then I can pinch to zoom my radius. So I can make it bigger radius to cover, all the way down to San Diego if I wanted to. Or I can make a small radius to just cover downtown. And once it's saved offline, you do have it there. But you can always delete it if you don't need it. Now an example of when you would want to delete it, say if I was going to take a trip up to Mountain View, Google's headquarters, I could actually, save the map for that trip, and then after that, I might not need it anymore. So then I could just delete that section and, save memory. So that's how this is going to work. Now, a bit about how Google Maps have been going in terms of Street View and, Google Earth. Because a lot of this conference was, combining Google Earth, Google Maps, and Google Street View. So Google's had a car go around, and they've upgraded the camera on the car from the 5 megapixel that originated on it to now a 65 megapixel cameras on there. Most of these devices have anywhere from 6 to 9 to 15 cameras on top of it. So first they started with the car, and now they've been doing high resolution screen images of about 15 cities this year. So really good in terms of all the stuff they improved on in terms of their Street View maps. As well as they also did, newer guides, so like when they pass by a store or say a place of business, they have you available to link with Zagat Guide or Google Plus reviews. So those are other things that they changed as well. But originally it started with a car, but there's not places that everywhere that a car can go to. So the next thing they did was they made a bike that also can do it, on narrower paths that a car couldn't. So they went to that. Then, sometimes you just can't get with a bike somewhere. So they also made it for boats and trains. So they can really they're trying to do the biggest global map available. And they've even done it to the point where they got into the last continent, Antarctica, and gotten maps there on the trip. So they're really going everywhere. They want to make the new digital global map. With that, they're also doing the new Google Maps art, which is pretty cool because, instead of you having to always travel to an art gallery, or if you just wanted to get a preview of an art gallery, you can get it right then and there with this new Google Maps art, which will be launching, I believe, by the end of the year. But what they just came out with today was they unveiled that they have a new Google Maps backpack. So that's pretty cool for Street View because now they're getting really every, from smaller alleys to every crevice that basically you couldn't go with cars to hiking. To the gentleman that actually did the announcement with the Google Map backpack actually even used it for skiing, which is really cool. You could ski down the slope and you see the entire slope then because he was able to ski down it. So it's really cool. Now let's go into what Google Maps will become within the upcoming weeks. And to do this, let's start back at the beginning. before Google Earth, there was Keyhole. Keyhole is the company that Google bought that originally had the Google Earth view, you could call it. So they called it Earth Viewer 3D at first, and this is the picture of that. Then in 2005, they went to 3D modeling, so you could see 3D visuals of buildings and see really how they are comparing to the flat surfaces, you know, which aren't so big. So you kind of got a bigger scale and saw how grand some buildings were. Then in 2006, they started getting a little bit more detail. They gave an example of City Hall in, I believe it was San Francisco, and really started going more into detail of the pillars and how they were and how they stood out. In 2008, they started going into more detail with terrain in terms of mountains, you know, everywhere from buildings that are very tall compared to buildings that are smaller, being right next to each other and getting that real 3D type feel. And for the past year, they've actually purchased their own fleet of planes. Yes, Google owns planes now. And what that has done now is allow them to actually go over major cities and actually record with 65 megapixel cameras all the images right below them. Now what this allowed them to do is first scan the area. So they coined a phrase which I think was really good, that it was sculpted by technology. You know, the landscape was first sculpted by technology. Then after it was sculpted, all the images from the pictures were able to go on top of them with hand. So actually a designer is actually making sure that it fits in correctly. It's not automated. And what comes out is this lifelike visual that is uncomparable to any maps that have ever been seen. Now their main competitor, which is the competitor that is expected to be possibly, you know, Apple's next map for iOS 6, CS3 I believe they were called, did something similar to this. Now they got all of their images from old government cameras, which needless to say aren't the best quality, and they had computers just generate what they would be. So the problem with this is that it looks, you know, like computer generated. It doesn't look lifelike. It looks computer generated. Whereas this actually looks like you're looking right at the grass, you're looking right at the trees, you're looking right at the buildings, and you can see them for what they are instead of a computer generated image. It's really photos taken of the actual building. So it doesn't look fake or computer generated. Unfortunately, this presentation was done on a display for this section with Apple, and their iPad kept crashing humorlessly. I guess they should have used an Android tablet, but yeah, so that was pretty funny. But other than that, I mean, they just showed all these amazing visuals of how detailed the trees look, how detailed the buildings look, and it really is just lifelike. It's different from anything else that it's ever been produced. So the overall feel, the conclusion is that compared to, you know, the competitor that iOS bought and that they might put on theirs, it doesn't compare to this, especially since they really just have major cities. They don't have all cities like this. So whereas Google, you know, has the ability to really make every city in the world come out like this. So it just is a lot further ahead in comparison, and definitely something to look forward to. And this has been RCKY, the Android Guy. Hey guys, make sure to stay connected with the Android Guy, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Google Plus and Twitter.